Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 21 of the F124 My Team Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Brazilian Grand Prix, of course. If you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from Mexico City, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. One off, if not the most frustrating race I've ever had on this game, excluding any of the ones I seem to have done at Monaco so far. That race just for some reason doesn't work for me inside this title. But yeah, obviously we're back today though, just 4 rounds left to go of the season. Of course, obviously we had the rule changes that were announced last time out that we are slowly working our way through behind the scenes. We've currently got 7 more upgrades left to do, all of them kind of 400 R&D or more. So it's actually going to be quite an effort to get those all completed, ready for the end of the year there. You can see in terms of performance, it looks like pretty much every other team isn't sacrificing the end of this year for the start of next, so we might be able to get ourselves into a good spot ready for next campaign as well there. Championship-wise, well, Verstappen's got one hand on the championship. He comes into this one with a 103-point lead over Charles Leclerc. I believe he would need to leave Brazil with an 86-point lead, and therefore he would be world champion. So Leclerc, yeah, has got his work cut out this weekend if he wants to try and keep the gap down to the Dutchman as well there. We are 13 points back behind Oscar Piastri. But McLaren seem to be getting stronger towards the end of the year as well. However, all eyes are probably on the Constructors' Championship. 113 points covering our top 3 teams at the moment. Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull are all still within a shout. Admittedly, Mercedes and Ferrari need Red Bull to absolutely fumble it towards the end of the year. But yeah, we're back in Brazil, though. Of course, our second of 3 Sprint Grand Prix towards the end of the campaign. I don't believe we need to take any engine penalties, though, which is good. So let's head out then into qualifying. Well, here we are then, heading out into qualifying here from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Yeah, this place I've had a lot of mixed emotions at. On previous F1 games. Anyone that obviously stuck around with the My Team series at the end of F123 will know we came here in a 3-way fight with Lando Norris and Valtteri Bottas for a championship. We were, I think, net going to lose the title to Lando by 1 point. Or I think we were even going to tie, and we were going to lose it on countback by virtue of Lando having more wins. And then the engine blew up, so we walked away with absolutely nothing. And that was the very last race we did in the My Team Career Mode inside F123. Hoping we don't get the same kind of luck here today as Verstappen goes to the top of the board, despite it not being a particularly long lap. We are quite the way behind Zhou Guanyu. Might have accidentally used some overtake mode there at the final corner, but hopefully that isn't going to upset the rhythm too much. We go P21, only quicker than a Yumu. Car performance-wise, it is starting to feel like a little bit of a long slog towards the end of the season, just where, you know, Williams and Sauber are still continuing to develop their cars, and obviously we aren't. We are just losing a little bit of performance each and every week, it feels like right now, but hopefully we can still try and fight with them over the course of this sprint weekend. Obviously we've got twice as many opportunities to score some points, so we did pretty well at Kota. And despite the fact I lacked confidence in the car all weekend.
P21.
Yep, please don't rub it in, Mark. As 2 tenths up come the end of the first sector there. We did run slightly wide down the end of the Esquido de Lago. But yeah, this lap is slowly coming to us. I'm just slightly worried we're going to lose a load of time through the final corner. Obviously, because I'm going to not use the overtake mode again. So we're trying to navigate our way through. That delta is slowly climbing the right way, as you would expect. With the tyre performance where it's at. So just try and make our way down in towards the final real corner. Alonso goes fastest of anybody, and immediately it's his fellow Spaniard Carlos Sainz, but we'll try and snatch that away from him. Let's see how much time we lose at the final corner. Daniel Ricciardo down to P18 now on a 107.9. We are not going to get anywhere near that. It's an 8.3. We stay P21. Bitterly disappointed then with that qualifying performance come the end of the session, but Carlos Sainz out-qualifies Fernando Alonso by just 19 thousandths of a second there. In terms of our 2 fighting for the title, Verstappen ahead of Charles Leclerc, ready for the sprint race, but of course we all know how quickly things can change. 4 tenths clear of our teammate, 3 tenths behind anyone else. I think that goes to sum up this car's performance towards the end of the year. But we can hope to keep it clean and tidy, and maybe, just maybe, recover some places in the sprint.
Welcome to today's sprint. This is shaping up to be another fantastic weekend. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here at Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. Two very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Yung Cao into one of two DRS zones will be key to any overtaking prospects today. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, and it's Fernando Alonso alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Oscar Piastri, Verstappen, Norris, Leclerc, Gasly, Stroll, Perez, Hamilton, Russell, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Tsunoda, Sargent, Albon, Ocon, Ricciardo, Bottas, Joe, Mr. Monaco, and Ayumu Iwasa. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We will soon find out. Welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me is Anthony Davidson. So, a sprint race today, and that means lights to flag, no stops. And how is that going to affect the driver behind the wheel?
Absolutely. So for today, there's no pit stop, or shouldn't be a pit stop anyway, if things go right, and you can forget about strategy. You're just driving today as fast as you can, make those overtakes if you need to, and that's what a sprint weekend's all about.
Back of the grid's not what we're aiming for. See if you can make up a few places at the start.
Well, unless we lose the place to Ayumu Iwasa, we can't really go backwards over the course of this sprint. But yeah, taking a look at the strategy though, team want me to start on soft compound tyres, which I'm not convinced is going to be the way to go. The mediums, apparently the strategy is only going to be 1.5 seconds slower, and I'd rather carry an extra set of softs into the GP proper. So this is a bit of a big strategy gamble here on the grid, but one I'm prepared to take. It is 5 red lights here in Sao Paulo. And it's going to be lights out, and away we go. Oh, immediately, of course, yeah, not getting as good a start as our teammate or Zhou Guanyu, but as everyone tries to form an orderly queue in towards someone, we're going to do the very un-British thing and try and barge through there. Ricciardo says absolutely not, and luckily, no damage, and we're able to keep the car pointing in the right direction there as we make our way down the Esquina del Lago then. Looks like Sainz has been able to hold on to the lead, but ahead of one of the McLarens, who has moved up through. So good start there, and I think that would be Lando Norris.
Focus now for the rest of the race.
I mean, most people, the interest this weekend is whether we're going to see Charles Leclerc keep that title fight going into the next race out in Las Vegas. I'm hoping we can actually do a Las Vegas Grand Prix. Obviously, in the driver career mode, we had some weird AI bug where they were locked at like level 20, so kind of completely ruined that entire weekend. So we make a couple of moves, though, down the inside of Zhou and Iwasa. We are at one place, then, off the start of this race. But, yeah, basically, we're going to need to just try and hang on early. Yeah, it's probably going to be sort of after lap 8. I would like to believe that these tyres might come on a little bit stronger. We've got yellows. We've got yellows on lap 4, as we're just trying to hang on with Daniel Ricciardo. I think that's Oscar Piastri that might be falling to the wayside, then. So my big championship rival, no, it's not. It is Lando Norris. So it was Piastri that got the good start then, and Lando Norris, who seems to have ran into problems here. He'll be starting in at the back of the field, ready for the Grand Prix proper. And yet another McLaren issue we see on this game. Meanwhile, we're just desperately trying to hang on to Ricciardo's DRS, which immediately we've gone and lost. We don't quite have the grip here early on in the stint. So I'm sure, yeah, Zhou Guanyu is about to fly past me. We'll try and go defensive from the Sauber car. But he breaks a little bit early down at turn 1, so we'll send it up the inside very aggressively, try and help our teammate out, and maybe leave them to battle each other. But as we get to half distance then here, I mean, this is just very, very lonely at the moment. We've got Zhou Guanyu and Ayumu Iwasa to fight against.
Lost the position, that's us down a place.
Yeah, the medium tyres certainly aren't working here, but I'm not convinced I would feel comfortable going this far on a set of the softs, so yeah, is it going to be worth obviously sticking with Zhou for a couple more laps? And then, I mean, we're basically just waiting to see whether our tyres are going to go back up to pace. But at the moment, it doesn't look likely. Oh, come on, I can't lose the DRS to Zhou Guanyu, surely. gap gets really, really close to the 1 second mark there, but we're just trying to save a bit of battery late on in the day so we can try and go for an attack on him right towards the end. But yeah, I think a brutal combination of a car that this weekend is really getting exposed for all its weaknesses. We did really well in Mexico, but here, this thing has just got nothing, it would appear, combined with a really bad strategy choice. We took the gamble, we knew we had to, if we really wanted to try and get anything out of this weekend, or at least in the sprint. But yeah, spending my afternoon battling Zhou Guanyu and Ayumu Owasa for last place, I admit was not quite what I had in mind today.
You think you can get past, make use of the overtake button and see what you can do.
Oh, well, we got yellows out again. Oscar Piastri. What has happened to McLaren here? Both of their drivers facing mechanical gremlins in this sprint race. And Oscar Piastri appears to be out of it as well then. So, well, I guess that means it's pretty much guaranteed that we're going to be ahead of them on the grid, as we've temporarily lost the DRS range to Zhou Guanyu. Well, Oscar Piastri, is he pulling over? I don't think he's actually... Is he broken down, or has he just had a puncture here? No, he's definitely broken down. There you go, official confirmation. And with just 2 laps to go, Zach Brown left scratching his head there, as what are they going to do as we head into the race? Alright, come on then, 1 more lap to go here from Brazil. We have not done very well in this sprint race, and I'm basically only hoping that if we can get the run on Zhou Guanyu, it might just recover us anything at all there.
Let's go, final lap.
Still got the stricken McLaren of Oscar Piastri down at turn 1, so we can't make a move in towards the first corner. Not that I think we were going to be able to anyway, as we'll try and close in on Zhou Guanyu out of the Senna S. Are we going to be able to get close enough to that Sauber car down the hill? No, we aren't. And again, we're just going to have to sit in behind him. Looking at the other runners, though, it's been a good day for Carlos Sainz and Ferrari, although it looks like Leclerc's going to lose out another point to Max Verstappen in the Drivers' Championship, so he needs a big result in the main Grand Prix, and basically, I think he basically now needs to win with Verstappen not scoring a point here. But out of the final corner, it is going to be Carlos Sainz that takes victory here in Saturday's sprint in Sao Paulo. Critical points for the Ferrari team once again, as they really want to try and keep Red Bull honest to the end of the year. There, Alonso will come through for P2. That might well be the first ever Spanish 1-2 we've ever had in Formula 1. Out of the final corner, though, are we going to be able to get a run on Zhou Guanyu? We're draining all of our battery as we make the run towards the line. I don't think we're going to be close enough, though. It is super close, but not enough.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
And so the celebrations begin, and well earned they are indeed. It may have looked simple at times, but as any racing driver will tell you, competing at this level, at the very top, is anything but simple. There's no catching them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion.
Well, there we go. On the run towards the line then, it wasn't a Spanish 1-2. Verstappen actually got the jump on Fernando Alonso by just 0.5 of a second there. So the Spaniard held on against Perez last year. Couldn't quite do the same against Verstappen this year. That means, yeah, the gap at the top now up to, well, it's opened up by another couple of points there. And as we head into the Grand Prix, I believe there's still, 78, 86, 90, 92, 112 points available. So Verstappen hasn't actually won the world title yet, but he probably will by the end of the Grand Prix. Constructors-wise, though, the gap down to exactly 100 points, though. Can Ferrari continue to close in as we head into the Grand Prix? Leclerc then immediately setting the pace as we start our first flying lap, instantly going quicker than what we saw in sprint qualifying.
P22.
I've kind of decided, unless we go quicker than anybody else that isn't a Yumu, I'm probably going to take some grid penalties here, just make sure we got one extra engine in the pool for the final couple of Grand Prix. Basically just give us any kind of fighting chance against maybe other runners that are trying to avoid penalties between now and the end of the year, as again we run slightly wide down at the bottom of the hill. We know obviously both of those McLarens are going to be starting at the back by virtue of grid penalties, so it might be all 4 orange cars at the rear of the field. Yeah, this first lap has not been particularly well hooked up. At least Logan Sargent has decided to join the backmarker struggles at the rear of the field. It still makes me chuckle how badly nerfed Sauber did get done in this game. A 108.7 is slower than I ran in other qualifying, and slower than a Yumu. Well, I've mentioned it before, but I think on last year's game, the AI were actually a bit underpowered through the middle sector. Now they've probably been made slightly overpowered in kind of trying to combat that, so we lose so much time now through the middle sector on this lap, despite the fact I think I'm running slightly higher wing than the rest of the field there, but we need about half a second if we want to go quicker than anybody that is in a different car to our own, so I'm going to put it all on the line as we start our final flyer.
22.
Immediately we find absolutely nothing out of the center S, despite the fact I felt like I nailed it. Dropping time all the way down the Esquido de Lago there as we try and shut the car in. Again, just running slightly wide over the curbs, but we do a better job that time round. We've got to at least get close to the 7s. Well, Charles Leclerc has gone and dumped a couple of extra tenths on everybody else here, making it very clear he doesn't want to give up on these title hopes just yet. Once again, it has ebbed so much between him and Max towards the end of the year there, but we get a nice run out of the final corner. It's not going to be enough though. Quarter of a second up. But here comes, I think that's an Aston Martin who we've given a fantastic slipstream to. No idea who that is. We are last on the grid. What on earth is going wrong here? Well, I think we gave a little bit of a slipstream then to Fernando Alonso come the end of qualifying. He ended up less than 3 tenths away, splitting those Red Bulls. As Verstappen only down in P6 with Leclerc on pole. He's definitely got some work to do as we move into the Grand Prix. Us, I don't want to talk about it. Half a tenth slower than our teammate. We went slower than we did in sprint qualifying. We're just going to put a whole new power unit in the back of the car and pray that that makes any kind of difference.
Formula One returns to Interlagos once again with the stage set for what promises to be another classic Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel famously clinched his 3rd championship here in 2012, and in 2016, Max Verstappen treated us all to one of the finest wet weather drives of all time. Interlagos, always a very special race here in Brazil, is a 2.7-mile circuit with 9 lefts and 6 rights for a total of 15 corners. The fastest lap today should have an average speed of around 135 miles per hour, if of course the weather stays dry until the end of the Grand Prix. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. An immense lap from Carlos Sainz yesterday puts him in pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Fernando Alonso, Russell, Verstappen, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Stroll, Leclerc, Ricciardo, Ocon, Gasly, Magnussen, Joe, Albon, Bottas, Sargent, Iwasa, Mr. Monaco, Norris, Oscar Piastri, and Nico Hulkenberg rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
We're going to struggle for a good position in this race unless we can gain some early positions. See what you can do.
I might have forgot to put a new engine in the back of the car, but fear not, because we're going to go aggressive with the strategy here. We're going to try and take the softs as far as we can, and then maybe we'll go on mediums to the end of the afternoon. We had less grip than everyone else yesterday. Unless something crazy happens, I don't think we're going to score points here today. So we're just going to go out all guns blazing and see what we can do then as we wait on the grid for those 5 red lights. Here we go in Brazil. It's going to be lights out, and away we go. There is Iwasa again. Just like we saw yesterday, able to get a pretty decent start. We're going to have a look to the inside of Bottas and maybe make it 4 wide in towards turn 1. We'll hug that apex as best as we can. Make sure we give everybody else the room. But we've only gone and done it there out of the centre as we go. Because unfortunately, yeah, I think that came at Iwasa's expense. Making our way down the Esquido de Lago. I just want to make some overtakes, to be completely honest here. And that's exactly what we're going to try and do. Nope, not there. Albon just broke late enough then, where I thought he might have a look down or inside, but
Fine, let's try and move forward.
yeah, Charles Leclerc though, I think may now have given up on his title hopes, because he's started this one with some grid penalties. So Verstappen, yeah, ended up with track position there. Why on earth Ferrari have done that, I don't quite know, but I guess they're only really focused on the Constructors' Championship there. It's down the inside of Albon, and then down the inside of Zhou Guanyu, just like we did in the sprint as well. So looks like our fight will continue with Zhou here. Interestingly, it's quite a lot of the AI on the soft compound tyre, so don't know if they've kind of tried to take the gamble, or whether they're doing a 2-stop, or what their plan might be, but we're up to P14 by the end of lap 1, as Sergio Perez leads the way, but immediately then, a bit like we saw in the sprint, just settling down and trying to make sure we stay in the range of the cars in front. Alonso, new fastest lap of the day. As I think Stroll is running up in the points as well, so doesn't happen often inside this series, but yeah, you can see there's cars battling just in front. That's good for Kevin Magnussen and I. If we could just stay with a group that is fighting for points here, then I could be tempted to try and go hard to the end and undercut ahead of some of these guys. Problem is, I don't know how far the hards will go very comfortably. Ah, damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. We've already lost the DRS again. I mean, the AI, they've just got so much straight line speed here that we can't match. And then we can't gain anything back through the corners as well. So, here you go, Zhou Guanyu. Immediately, we're going to let him try to close in on that group in front. I mean, it just feels like we've got no rotation through the front end here. Despite the fact I'm running, I think it's pretty high wing. 31 front wing here is a lot, but it's not working. So here goes Alex Albon. You can see we're certainly running high enough that the AI are constantly able to get runs on me. As Albon will just squeeze us out down the hill. Nice to watch some battling. Zhou Guanyu trying to defend from Alex Albon. And it is going to be the Thai driver that gets past the Chinese driver then down at turn 4. I mean, I think, yeah, if any of us are going to be able to try and drag this group up back to that kind of battle at the end of the points, it's probably going to be Albon. As where did Sargent find the grip to have a look down the inside there? Last year's game, pretty reliably, you'd make up nearly half a second on the AI through there. I mean, it wasn't realistic, but it certainly feels like they're a bit too strong now. I mean, we're basically just sat behind cars waiting for me to drop out of the DRS right now. It's gotta be. I mean, we haven't really had a race this painful in this series since probably all the way back at Japan, where we just had no pace that weekend either. Ayumu seems to be slowing down a couple of other drivers, but even I would argue he's got the pace over me this weekend. As here comes Logan Sargent, down the inside goes the Williams. I noticed the AI brake earlier once they've overtaken you. But yeah, unless he can try and keep us up with Zhou.
Lost the position, trying to keep focus.
Admittedly, yeah, the softs actually haven't hung on too badly here in the first part of this race. As here goes the other Sauber of Valtteri Bottas as well down the hill. Oh, this is not good. This is not what we need, because we're giving Sargent a little chance to break free there. We'll try and use a bit of ERS up the hill. Get a little bit pinched over the curb, but we hang on. Well, it's certainly not as prominent an issue as it is with the front tyres, but we're definitely starting to struggle with some rear overheating. And actually, yeah, the front right as well, starting to do the same. It's down the inside of Sargent. We'll go back up at turn 1. So that might help to explain some of the lack of pace here in race trim, but...
Brilliant, nice move, keep going.
Yeah, it seems like we're definitely struggling more and more with rear temperatures towards the end of this first season. I don't know whether it's we're trying to run the car at tighter thresholds or what, but... it's become a real issue. Well, yeah, I'm staggered just how well the soft compound tyres have hung on. Definitely should have taken them for the sprint race, but we're going to try and pit a little early, undercut our way away from a couple of these other cars, as I think... I thought Sargent might be following me in them, but it doesn't look like he has. Annoyingly, yeah, Wasser has dropped off the back of the field still, despite being on that softer rubber. But yeah, we're going to go to hards to the end then. We could have potentially gambled mediums, but I didn't really know how well they'd go. So we're going to try this out.
Right, let's go, come on. Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one. Up to speed now, let's get some heat into those tyres.
Clearly had a bit more throttle in than I realised as we tried to make our way out of the pit lane there. That was a bit scary. Don't really want to bin it in the pit lane, but I could see, I think it must have been obviously Bottas and Sargent battling it out. So yeah, hopefully this undercut is going to be quite possible, and we can get back to Zhou and Albon. There we go, Ayumu Iwasa and Logan Sargent then. They've both gone a couple of laps longer than me, but the first of our other drivers to actually make a pit stop then in this race. So this should give us a rough idea then of what we're doing in comparison to Sargent. I think we've actually got a decent jump on him, which is really reassuring. We're going a good couple of seconds a lap faster than those cars up in front, as Sargent making his way back out of the pit lane then. I mean, in the ideal world, we'd undercut our way back to that group that were fighting for the points. But yeah, I'm not holding my breath. Starting to slowly see more and more cars into the pit lane then. Esteban Ocon, Daniel Ricciardo. They were two of the drivers that I think were fighting in the points. So we got yellows. We got yellow flags out. Someone's got issues. I believe that's a Sauber. We've said that so many times, it feels like, in this game. But I believe that might be... is that Zhou Guanyu? I think that might be Bottas, who is out of the Grand Prix.
They're retiring from the race.
So first Ferrari power unit of the weekend going up. Surprised that isn't a safety car, to be honest. Oh yeah, we have just slowly got cars trickling into the pit lane. Doesn't really feel like it's a particularly rigid pit strategy here, as everyone kind of coming in as and when they feel like it. We've got the jump on Albon, though, at least, so we're back ahead of him, which is good. But I don't know. I have genuinely no idea where we're going to properly re-emerge in this race. Hulkenberg and Piastri, the next two into the pit lane, as Alex Albon is immediately going to fly back past me. Yeah, I don't think we're going to find ourselves in the points here anytime soon. And it would have been nice to be close. We've got ahead of Zhou, but yeah, that group in front, I was really hoping we would be nearer than we are. Maybe Albon and I can work together. I feel like we've got just about enough pace to keep up with Alex Albon late on in the afternoon here. The real question is, what's happening with those cars in front? Gasly, Ocon, and Magnussen are battling it out. The problem is they've let the V-Carbs get away, and therefore I think are just disputing P11.
6.4 seconds.
I mean, the other one as well is, will those McLarens finally be able to carve their way through? Norris is up to P16. They've just been so screwed over in this race today, but yeah, we're taking more and more time out of Gasly up the road, but I got to use Albon to do it. Well, again, we're kind of hoping for some hypotheticals towards the end of this race, but now those V-Carbs and Esteban Ocon are bunched back up. Maybe, just maybe, we're all going to be able to get a bit closer. Lando Norris is definitely going quicker than Albon and myself, as you would expect, in that McLaren car. So maybe if he can get past the pair of us, Lando will have enough pace to keep up... Sorry, Albon will have enough pace to keep up with Lando. We would then hopefully still maintain enough pace to keep up with Alex Albon. And then maybe we could all get dragged up there. Gasly, I think, has either got wing damage or mechanical issues, because he is dropping back at nearly a second a lap. But yeah, Lando Norris is going pretty much a second a lap faster than me, and I think is probably going to overtake me imminently. Well, just over 10 laps to go then, and we have closed in on Pierre Gasly here, so hopefully Albon and myself, and maybe Lando Norris as well, we're all going to be able to sneak by him. I want to try and make sure that we don't let Pierre kind of get between us here, as there we go. Albon to the outside. We're going to go to the inside of the Frenchman. Nice, decent run back down towards turn one. Albon, you didn't need to go defensive on me, buddy. I've been happy to stare at that back of that Williams for many, many laps up to this point.
Nice work, mate. That brings you up a place.
I guess we need Lando to try and get round him as well there. Are we going to see Gasly get a run down the hill? No, he's definitely struggling. There's Lando Norris down the inside of the Alpine. Gasly has lost 3 places there in 3 corners. Well, this feels very, very odd to do, but I'm going to let Lando Norris pass me here as we make our way back up towards turn 1, at least if he's going to get close enough. Hopefully he'll then get the run on Alex Albon back down in towards turn 4, and then maybe, just maybe, we can try and drag ourselves right the way back up to those final point scores. Oh, we got a red flag. That'll be a red flag immediately. Carlos Sainz has gone round at the front of the field. Surely, there you go.
Red flag. We'll update you in the pits. Everyone's okay.
And suddenly, everything then in this Grand Prix has changed late on in the day. And we now have a chance to try and score some points. We'll need a big restart here, but I'm so happy we kept a couple of spare sets of soft compound tyres, because now we can try and make the difference.
A free stop, so let's think very carefully about our strategy for the rest of this race.
Well, there we go. We're going to be restarting on lap 30, so a 7-lap sprint to the end of the race. The team wanted us on mediums. Not a chance. Not a chance we are doing that. Everyone else on soft compound tyres as well. It is 5 red lights, and it's going to be lights out and away we go. And as soon as I've let Lando Norris past, I'm immediately going to get back past him on the run up towards turn 1. Everybody kind of filing to the outside of the corner, so we will say thank you very much and try and get back past Alex Albon as well there. You've got to be really, really clever with your car positioning off of this restart, as I think Leclerc's got the jump on Max Verstappen as well then, almost 3 wide as we make our way down the hill. But I mean, what is that? Yuki Tsunoda lets me by, doesn't let me by, then tries to cut back in again late on the brakes. As we make our way up the hill, though, we've got a Mercedes now that has moved to the front of the field. George Russell had a pretty good campaign early on this season, but yeah, Mercedes certainly haven't been a team that has fought for many wins later on over the course of this season, though, as we round our way down through the S's, down the inside of Magnussen. It's a huge manoeuvre. So much confidence, though, on the brakes, and, well, we'll kind of squeeze him out a little bit on the exit as well. I so desperately want to score a point here today, and that's exactly what we're going to try and fight for. Up to P11, then, That red flag restart has been a blessing. Well, I think both Ferrari and Mercedes appreciate here, especially with Verstappen down the order, that whoever wins this, yeah, basically has got a huge extra opportunity to try and get to Red Bull before the end of the year. Even if they just keep it mathematically viable right the way until Abu Dhabi, you never know what might happen there, as unfortunately we've immediately gone and lost the DRS to Esteban Ocon. Maybe we've pushed too hard off of this restart. We'll bring the gap back down slightly. You can see it's just moving around.
Beating our teammate by 4.2 seconds.
Noda, though, couldn't get the run on me back up to turn 1. But we can't get back in the range of Pierre. Of Esteban, even. Are we potentially going to see Ricciardo drop out of the range of the cars in front? That could be useful. Oh, we can't do it. We just can't do it. How agonisingly close are we going to get to points here? All afternoon long we have struggled in both the race and the sprint there. As here we go, Tsunoda clean around my outside that time round. We've got to try and save some battery, otherwise we're going to keep losing places. And maybe I made myself a few enemies off of that restart. Magnussen absolutely trying to lunge it in. We've got to stay with Yuki though, otherwise we're just going to go backwards. I mean, just watching the Delta against that V-Carb, it has got sensational levels of grip and traction through this middle sector there. It actually looks like a genuine front runner. The pace it's showcasing, as I think Sainz now has moved back to the front of the field, but both Mercedes and Ferrari are looking like they're going to take points out of Red Bull here. Could Fernando Alonso be a late fight for the win, as here comes Magnussen now. And the inside goes the Haas driver. Oh, I mean, how does he do that? He was absolutely firing it in far too deep, but then suddenly can get the car stopped.
We need to stay on form.
Somehow we didn't pick up damage in all of that as well going on, as here comes Alex Albon down the Esquina de Lago. Come on out, break him. No, we had to try and commit, but every time we'll fight with someone else, and the car in front's going to pull free. Oh, and then round in the final corner, about to start the last lap of this Grand Prix. I think Albon might have ran into technical issues right towards the end here, because he is dropping away from Lando Norris, who's going to storm around my outside. Back up towards turn 1.
Up for the race.
We know if we can just hang close enough to the McLaren, we might be able to get the run out of the final corner, but I think we just absolutely worked these tyres too hard off the restart and have paid the price ever since then. Hulkenberg now moving past Alex Albon. They're still battling, though, for the lead of the Grand Prix. Fernando Alonso, he won this race in our driver career mode, and as he makes his way through the final middle sector of the day, it looks like he could be able to make it 2 in a row. Are we going to see the Mercedes, though, get the run on him back towards the start-finish line? Are we going to see Albon and Hulkenberg get the run on me? Because you can just see how much we're losing to Lando Norris at the moment. Alonso, are we going to see him back on top in the My Team career mode here? I don't believe he's won a race yet in this series. Out of the final corner, it is going to be a battle of the battery towards the start-finish line here, as through the Jungsao we go one final time. Alonso is just going to win it at the end of the Grand Prix there. I believe that's his first ever win in this My Team career mode. Out of the final corner for us, though, it is P14.
George Russell has done it. George Russell is the winner.
Well, they showed true grit out there today, not to be outdone by the rough circumstances, many points that came their way today. A job well done, not the easiest of days, but they walk away with a race victory.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot. A well-earned victory for Mercedes.
Well, there we go then. Fernando Alonso, he did take the victory on the road by admittedly a 1/10 of a second, but I had no idea he had a 5-second penalty. What did he get that for? Come the end of the day, it was a collision with Perez, a severe collision with Perez. So a heartbreak then for Alonso, who takes the win on the road, but can't quite do enough with it. I'm guessing that was obviously all under the spin by Charles Leclerc at the front of the field. But that means, yeah, George Russell is going to be your winner today then. Drama at the end of the feature race here with Carlos Sainz finishing P2, Perez in third there. Charles Leclerc beats out Hamilton and Lance Stroll. But I believe that means Max Verstappen is officially Formula 1 World Champion there. Ricciardo and Ocon in 8th and 9th place there. And yeah, Alonso does get 2 points for his troubles by virtue of the fastest lap as well. We come through for P14. Just a brutal, brutal weekend on the whole for us. We didn't quite have the pace in the car. We felt like every single lap we were trying to drag it above where it belonged to be. And ultimately, yeah, we could not quite get rewarded for it. 99 points the gap now with 3 races left to go of the season. It is done. It is over. Max Verstappen is your Formula 1 World Champion there. George Russell, though, I mean, he's given himself a decent room ahead of his teammate Lewis Hamilton late on in the campaign. And if we take a look at the constructors, 91 points between Ferrari and Red Bull, when I believe there's about 130, 140 still left to play for here. So it's not over yet. Red Bull, they need to keep their act together, though, right towards the end of the campaign. For us, though, we further lose 8 points to Alpine. The gap now up to 8. To be honest, I think we're going to need a miracle if we want to try and get the better of them by the end of the year there. And Oscar Piastri still a 13-point lead in the Drivers' Championship as well there. But thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the Las Vegas Grand Prix.